Good morning, y'all. I'm on the run again. Just had breakfast and I'm heading to my room to don my white clothes to go to Cape Coast. They call it Castle, but you know, it was really a prison for my enslaved ancestors.
Lava basically was a slave market, and now the European merchants are there with their nurses and doctors, received the captives, examined their strength before the auctioning went on. So strong African men and women were exchanged for commodities such as mineral, gunpowder, tobacco, fabric, sugar, and salt. And after the auctioning, we marched them to the forecourt for them to be branded identification. So they branded so that when the companies are in, they would be able to identify their captives they bought and they moved them. And then they'll have to separate them. The males are held in here in the male slave dungeon, and female slave dungeon down there about 80 meters from here. And so today we shall also bear witness to whatever injustice that transpired in here. Before we continue, I'll switch off the lights for us to have an experience. See the three holes up there, they are only source of light and ventilation. Kept them here a minimum of 2 weeks and a maximum of 3 months. And held in the darkness for so long, sometimes domestic slaves are not able to come around to clean the waste. And so the waste constantly makes up with sand, because even if they come in, they can't clean everything, so they will put sand on the rest. So that happens to be the reasons why the waste mixed up with sand covered the whole chamber, heaped up to a level like this in the dungeon. So 1974, archaeologists came from the University of Ghana to excavate this very chamber. After the excavation, he saw the bricks, and so out of curiosity, he needed to carry the samples to test. And after testing scientifically, it's proved that everything he took from here happened to be the urine, toilet, food particles, and sweat of the ancestors that mixed up with sand. The trenches in here were also discovered after the excavation. The purpose of the trenches was to wash away. On this side you can see the bricks. And so he left this one to show to tourists as evidence that indeed this was how the whole place was covered by the waste before he excavated, leaving this portion to show to tourists just as evidence. From the second to the last chamber left unexcavated. And so while we walk through the other chambers, everything we would be walking on happens to be the urine, toilet, food particles, sweat, vomit of our ancestors that mixed up with sand and solidified all over the chamber. So when they bring them here, they lock them up in chains and shackles. Chains locked up to the walls. You can see the 3 holes on the walls. The chains are locked up to the walls to prevent easy movement of the captives, and after they shut the door in here. And so all 5 chambers. So third chamber. And looking critically to the floors, we can't see any bricks here. And so currently everything we are working on is the excrement of the ancestors that was mixed up with sand, solidified all over the chambers. If they are to excavate to this point, we shall see the bricks lying all over. They had a church up here upon all the atrocities that were going on in here. The name of the church, Society for the Propagation of the Gospel. It is currently the Anglican Church. And so Anglican Church in Ghana started right on top of this slave dungeon before it moved to other destinations in the country. It's not a coincidence or a mistake for us to know the church sits on top of the dungeon. It was their motive to build a church on top of the dungeons. And so when you visit the other castles, you see similar thing in there. And so Kali Church started at the forecourt in the Omina Castle. The Dutch also came and established their Reformed church on top of the female slave dungeon in the Omina Castle. And up here, Anglican Church right here, Methodist started at the forecourt where the graves are. And Presbyterian Church also started at Christian Bokosu Castle in Accra. So during that period, the churches, they were also firmly involved in the transatlantic slave trade. So the churches, they were just like a tool to psychologically enslave the Africans to surrender to whatever they were bringing in. So that happens to be the reasons why the churches were normally built on top of the dungeons. If you wanted to hear, to analyze, to know whatever was going on in the dungeon. So if they are out there, if there's noise, they will hear them. To analyze, to know probably they are weak or they are hungry outside there's noise. If there is no noise, then probably they are asleep or whatever the food they brought them, they are okay, that's why there's no noise. So the spy will sit just in front of the church. And so while they went in and out of the church, they would be able to analyze to know whatever transpired. Another one to the side. So the spy will sit right in front of the church. And so while
The blue door was the door to the church.
Yes, that's the door to the church. We shall go there, we will stand just